Okay, hello, we are live. Ooh.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Still no one here, so we will wait 1 minute more. Oh, one person is here. Hello, say hello in comments if you are here and how are you today. Hello, guys, hello. Okay, people joining. Oh, 7 already. So Mateusz, not so bad. We will not be in. That's good. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Post your hello that you hear us and how do you hear us in comments. Then we will see that you are here. Okay. Hello. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Michał. Hi, Bartek. Hi, Natalia. Super.
You can at least see the guest list. I can't.
Oh, Mateusz.
Like you.
You are not funny. I envy you. Oh, hi, Katarzyna. Okay. We will wait 1 minute and then we will start until everyone find their Facebook and YouTube. I see some of you are on Facebook, some of you are on YouTube. Hi, Maciek. Hi, Mateusz. Hi. Super. Mateusz, someone wants to listen us.
Yep.
That's strange.
That's cool.
Okay, how are you guys? Okay, we have 16 past 7, so I think we can start. I think in the middle someone will join us. So hello guys, hello everyone. My name is Lena. I have strange Russian surname, Skukova. Hope you hear us well. Okay, so who we are. I try my hand at blogging a bit last time, and so you probably see Transform is Lena blog, and I'm a strategy business analyst and also business analyst and OKR champion. I also am responsible for implementing OKRs in a 800 people organization, in a huge organization. And I'm really interested in this topic a lot. Okay, so from organizational point of view, we will talk around 40 minutes today, and then we will have 20 minutes for Q&A session. So if you have any comments or any question, please put them on the chat. You can do it on YouTube or on Facebook. And today, my guest here, one more thing. Today is my first webinar in English, so please don't judge me too harshly on that. We'll try our best with Mateusz today. And today my guest is Mateusz. And Mateusz, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
I know Mateusz for quite a long time, and he's very talented and really clever guy, and he's always inspires me whenever we talk. And I know Mateusz also as a leader of Neoteric, and he, with his colleagues and friends, I guess, they found a Neoteric company together. And I know them, how they started and where they are. And lately we started to talk with Mateusz about OKRs. And today we want to first to talk about how OKRs support strategy implementation. And we want to exchange our perspectives, as Mateusz has a perspective of, let's say, startup and a small company. I have some experience from the quite bigger company, so we will talk. I will ask questions, and if we can discuss, yeah, it will be really nice. And as today we are going to talk about OKRs, and if you are unfamiliar with the term, OKRs means objective and key result, and this actually is a framework. Sometimes I say that the whole idea of framework is actually to ensure that each team is working according to the strategy. So it's kind of connection between high-level goals of the company and team's daily work, so to what they plan to do in their sprints. I hope Mateusz will tell a bit more about this framework and how you use it, how you use this framework. Some more basic also that objectives are outcomes, so it's value, and key results are metric. They showing you where you are with your goals. And of course, OKR has a framework, and it's a kind of process of setting goals, tracking alignment, and so on. I hope today we will touch this topic. Mateusz, I hope I haven't missed anything.
No. I believe you're spot on. So everything's fine.
Okay, so then let's start. And Mateusz, I said a few words about you. Tell our audience today more about your background. So where you come from.
That's a tough question. Like, I hate talking about myself.
Yeah, I know. Just 2 words, please.
Yeah, sure. So I joined Neoteric when we were a team of like 3, I think. I was like a 4th employee, I think. So it was like 7.5 years ago. So back then I was just a software developer, actually, because Matt Kurleto, the founder of Neoteric, was in a need of software developers. I was like traveling the world back then, returned to Poland, and was looking for a part-time job. So we started cooperating, and it became a quite fruitful cooperation because the company started to grow. We tried to hire a project manager, but failed miserably. So we had a simple idea, like, hey, I have some background in like serving customers. I know how to write software, so I'll manage projects. So you can imagine that it turned out badly at the beginning, but after some years of experience, it's like caught up some momentum. The company, when the company was around like 30 people, I became responsible for operations, and right now we are like 90 something people on a quite steady rate of growth. We are quite structured today. We are using objective and key results for like over 4 years, I think, right now. So I believe we have like quite an experience in the field. Because not many companies in Poland are using OKRs at all, and not much have like a few years experience. So I believe that right now I have something to share, at least.
That's true. And by the way, Matt Kurleto is also here. So hello, Matt. And I would say that you describe yourself, and if I can add, guys, you are genius, and I am a really big fan of you. When you started, you was a really small company, and now you are 90%, and you are growing, and you do really well. And sorry to say that, but I love your company, and I really, it's always a pleasure to work with you. So if I can. Okay, so you've just mentioned that you have some experience with OKR rollout, and how long have you been using OKRs in your company?
I think it's around 4 years. We started in 2017, so right now is the 4th year that we're using the framework. So actually, the beginning of the OKRs in our company came from Matt Matt Kruleta, our CEO, and my friend, which like often good ideas come from him. He's a visionary, so I think he stumbled upon a book called Radical Focus by Christina Vodka. It's a OKR classic. I believe you have a copy. Yep, that's it. Unfortunately, it still doesn't have an Polish translation. That might be something to be done.
Why not?
Yep. So Matt introduced the concept to the management team, and we thought that it would be quite interesting thing to try, because the underlying need was to structure our way of working, because back then we had like 3 startups that we tried running concurrently with the same team. We had Neoteric as a growing company. So it was a really big challenge to like stay focused and really choose what we should focus on. So we were looking for some tools, and Matt came up with OKRs, and we committed ourselves to try it. So it was quite hard, because OKRs like by definition forces you to like focus on one thing for 1 quarter, because this is like a default time frame for running objective and key results. So I remember that during this first quarter we wanted to change the objective like 5 times, like almost like every week. But fortunately we were like organized enough not to change the objective and stick to the principles. So it was like very simple: 1 objective, 3 key results, and don't change anything through the quarter. Like, so if you're starting with the OKRs, this is like the golden rules for you. Don't try to come up with many objectives. Don't try to spread it through the entire organization. We just kept 1 objective for the C line only. So it was like 4 people. We didn't try to pass it on to the rest of the organization, because it would fail miserably. So we just tested objectives and the results on ourselves. And one of the key results was actually to have 10 out of 12 OKR weekly meetings. So one of the key results was the adoption of the framework itself. And it was like very, very important to have those meetings.
So let me come back a bit to the topic. So what made you to decide to run with OKRs? I understood that you was inspired also, and it was an idea and vision, and you was inspired by book, and you also was a growing organization. So for you, it was a challenge to focus. So exactly. What did you want to achieve exactly through implementing OKR? So maybe kind of what was the OKR of OKR implementation for you?
Well, as I said, the underlying need was to like choose the most important thing to focus on in terms of the growing company, and like that. And this was actually the objective, to really put a very concrete next step on our strategy, because we had some strategy back then. It wasn't a very formal strategy. Like it wasn't formatted at all actually at this point. We just knew where we want to go, how we want to do it, but we were missing the next step to achieve through the next quarter. So we needed a very structured tool to really help us keep our commitment to ourselves, to our company, and to our strategy. So OKR was the perfect choice in my opinion.
And that's actually, as we promised to exchange our experience, I want to say that it was exactly the idea why also in my company we started OKRs, that we had the strategy, but first no one knew that, and actually we had no idea how this strategy is implemented, or it implemented at all. So it was like, okay, we can guess, we can ask around, we can check by, look into the backlogs of teams, but we had no idea if the strategy and if we are following our direction. It was like, okay, how you want to achieve the goal as a company if you are really not sure that first goals are not known, and that you had no like a systematic approach to actually follow these goals. And yeah, so this is quite a common thing, I would say, between my experience and your experience.
Yeah, because in our world, with our three startups running and Neoteric growing, we had to really decide where to put our focus, and we could measure our like progress by revenue, by number of employees, but there is a term like golden apples with the old Greek stories, right? From mythology. So we had a lot of golden apples lying around us, and we still needed a clear path where we want to go, not to lose our sights, not to lose our targets. So because we could focus on one of our startups, we could focus on the low-hanging fruits, some customer that could bring us revenue here and now, but it would like draw us away from our goal of becoming the international company with 90% of our customers in US, Canada, and Scandinavia. We could focus on growing our Polish customer base, but it wouldn't be our strategy. It would help us in terms of short-term goals, but we wouldn't be where we are today if we done that. And I think this was the most important thing, because OKR helped us measure our progress. Because like there is a vanity metrics or fake metrics that would drive us. We would think that it's driving us in the right direction, but it wouldn't be the right direction. But we wouldn't know it back then. We would notice it after 1 year, one and a half year. And this is the risk if you don't measure the progress of your strategy using any kind of framework, be it OKR, for DX, or whatever system you use.
Yeah, that's true. I in my head now are opening a lot of questions, as I would say that we touch a lot of topics that I hadn't planned to ask you, but maybe we will come back to that. For example, I have a question about this progress, as I have a few challenges regarding this, how to, for example, track progress, how, what is not too administrative, especially working Scrum and Agile. But let's park this topic for a moment. And so maybe a step by step, I want to ask you, so how could you walk us through the steps you took to implement your OKRs? So for some of our audience that, let's say, just started their journey, I would say that probably it will be interesting for them.
Okay, so I will describe a few steps, like where OKRs came from, because in my opinion, knowing where the framework came from really enables you to understand how to use it properly. Because before OKRs, there was concept of MBO. It was management by objectives, and it was introduced in the 70s, so almost 50 years ago, in Intel. Because back then Andy Grove was CEO of Intel, and they had major challenge because back then Intel was producing memory chips, not CPUs as it does today, and their competitors from Japan started really stepping on their toes, and they were able to produce a larger quantity of memory chips with lower price. So Intel could compete with them or come up with a new strategy. And back then they decided that they wanted to switch the entire company from producing those memory chips to CPUs. A huge change. It was a huge organization back then. It wasn't, of course, so big like it is today, but it was like a few thousand people already. So in the 70s. So they thought about how they could really focus the entire company on this change, and they came up with the solution in terms of management by objectives. So they created a single objective for the entire company to change their product line in 12 months. And by having this very strict focus and choosing the team of dedicated managers that could understand the overarching goal and dividing the responsibility between those managers, they were able to create a goal matrix. So overarching goal of switching the entire product line, and each division having its own objectives to contribute to the main one. And they succeeded. Like Motorola, their main competitor back then, was able to have a few strategic meetings, and Intel was able to produce the first CPUs. So this was the power of the MBO back then. But in today's world, the changes are very fast. So having a 1 year objective would be like too long for most of us, especially startups, especially software companies where reality changes like week by week. So in 1999, the guy called I forgot the name from Measure What Matters. John Doerr. John
Doerr, yeah.
Yeah, John Doerr introduced the OKRs to Google. Google was quite fresh back then. It was quite a small company, and he convinced Google to use the framework, and it succeeded, as you can see. It's not used not only in Google but also in the Google Ventures. So most of the startups in the Google ecosystem also uses objective and key results. So it became a de facto standard for them. So the main difference between MBO and OKRs was the cadence. So in objective and key results, the cadence is meaning how long, what is the time frame of having the objective, and how often do you update it? How often do you do retrospective and create another objective? It's not 12 months. It's 3 months. So it's quite short. It could be also shorter. OKR doesn't really give you a fixed time frame. It just suggests that 3 months is the best, but you can do 1 month, 4 months, 6 months, or whatever suits your company. So knowing the background and knowing where it came from and knowing the great materials on the Google rework site, because it's one of the best sources of information how to use OKRs and how to start using OKRs, and what are the anti-patterns of using OKRs, because this is the most important thing at the beginning.
Most painful.
Yeah. So, we started our journey. So back then, Matt was responsible for implementing OKRs. He was in charge of organizing the weekly update meetings. We started with one single goal, and this goal was to implement OKRs in our company. I think this was the goal itself. So the main point of having OKRs and verifying if you are going into the good direction is how well we implemented OKRs. One of the key results, as I mentioned, was how many meetings do we want to have. I really don't remember the remaining two, but it was all around implementing OKRs. And we also introduced the concept of health metrics. It's not part of OKRs in the very strict definition, but Christina Vodka in Radical Focus explains it. It's basically a thing that can't break when you are introducing changes. Because for me, the main concept of OKRs is to drive change in the company and measure it. It's not used to monitor day-to-day work. It's to really visualize and implement a strategy change. So, for example, if you are growing your team, your health metric could be your team satisfaction or retention level. Because if you are hiring employees in a very fast pace, the company culture might change and people may be dissatisfied, or you're like recruiting from people. So the employee satisfaction level or retention could be your health metric, like a counterbalance to the change that you are making in your organization. So after 1 quarter of having those OKRs and having all the challenges of of sticking with them, we've decided that it's a good system for us, and started spreading to other departments. So the main takeaway, if you're starting with OKRs, in my opinion, is to have only one goal. Try it with a very limited number of people. I think if you're like a smaller company, then the board is the perfect place to start. If you're a bigger company, then board is even a better place to start. So the head in the company is always most important, and if you want to drive the change, you have to show that you're willing to drive the change as a board.
Yeah, that's, for example, was my lessons learned from our rollout, that we started from one team, but then we too fast went to other teams. So we haven't waited for, let's say, results and for really looking for benefits. And this is one change I would change for sure if I would, if I will implement it second time. I will never start with more than one, and really wait and be patient until it works, and take all lessons learned from that. So yeah, here it's, so you haven't you didn't make this mistake comparing to us.
Yeah, like it's very easy to overdo it, because in the entire concept, OKRs are very simple. You have a set of objective, key results, and weekly meetings, done. So there is a tendency to think that, hey, this is so simple that I can drive it to the entire organization. But if you have any experience with working with people and managing teams, and you know that the most important thing is to really convince people that this is the great system, and there is a cost of implementing change in your organization. The bigger organization, the bigger cost, of course. You really gain the perspective that even the small change needs time, and this is basically why you want to start with a single objective and not drive it through the entire organization.
And by the way, this reminds me that the, let's say, simple rule of scaling. It's also a rule of scaling, for example, Scrum scaling. Don't go to scale until Scrum works really well in one team or in a few teams. So don't try to scale your failures and you all, bad things which happen in. So start with a really small size. Yeah, that's
exactly. Because you're scaling inefficiency otherwise. So.
And let me ask you again. So you mentioned already that so you was inspired by a quarterly cycle, right? And now, yep. How long is your OKR cycle in Neoteric?
It's still quarterly, but we added a yearly objective to have a context, because this is the next big thing, because we learned how to use the system. We learned how to set the proper key results, because this is the hardest part in OKRs, I think. Setting the OKRs that are measurable and realistic. Because for the first few quarters, we either set key results that were too tight to KPIs, like we tried to measure revenue, net profit of the company, how many employees do we hire. It was kind of working, but this is not the best use of OKRs, in my opinion, because they measure the effects of your changes and not the changes itself. But I will continue on this topic later. So it's a bigger topic, so I don't want to dive into it right now. So, but after a few quarters, we noticed that we are missing a broader context, because each quarter you can focus on a single key initiative. Like in one quarter, we were working on improving our communication with the customer. In other, we were working on the quality of our products. And each quarter was a separate initiative. And after a few quarters, we noticed that we are missing the bigger picture, because strategy is not about one quarter. Strategy is about 2 to 5 years or even more. So we needed some overarching goal, like Intel had. to really like position our quarterly efforts against some bigger time frame. So after 2 years, I think we came up with the yearly objectives. And
okay, so you have
it made a huge change.
So you have strategy, it's a one level, then you have annual goals, and then you have quarterly goals for teams, right? That's how your structure looks.
Yes, but teams. We started with teams in terms of silos like sales, marketing, software development, delivery, etc. And later we switched to the mixed model where we have interdisciplinary teams. But it's also quite new, so I'll cover it in a minute, I think.
Okay, and you know we meant to talk about also strategy and connection with strategy. Yep. And so, do you have some, I don't know, like hard link, high connection with annual goal and strategy, or maybe this quarter goals with strategy? So how do you connect them? Is it linked, or it's just, I don't know, by checking? How it looks?
Like right now, we try to describe our strategy using the scaling up methodology. It's quite popular, and it enables you to really describe your strategy not only in a few sentences, but only in the outcome-based level, like having important KPIs. So what would your revenue look like in 5 years? How many employees will you have? Like, what is your mission? What is your vision? Why you are doing the way the stuff do you want to do? So coming from this level of strategy, we are coming up with yearly goals. So it's really hard to come up with a goal for like 2 to 5 years because the environment is changing too fast. So we have a way of working that we try to define what is the next step in terms of 1 year, and then after 1 year, check if this is still the path that we want to continue, and set goal for another year in having the strategy for the next 5 years in mind. So I think that this is the best way because it combines the strategic thinking, which is a few years ahead, with the quite agile way of setting up goals and really looking how the company is doing, assessing the market, assessing how the world looks like. So I think this is a good combination of flexibility and having a long-term strategy.
Okay. I see that we already have a few questions from our audience. I will wait until I will ask you them. We have still 8 minutes for our talk, and that actually I would say it always most interested part of this meeting. So what challenges came up for you while implementing OKR? So what I don't know. Let's talk about top 3.
Okay, so the top one and most important challenge is like teaching your team how to set up goals themselves, because the best and worst thing at the same time is what can happen is to have a single leader in the organization. So it was a case in Neoteric, because after 1 quarter we structured our work with Matt, that Matt is responsible for everything that happens 12 months plus, like having a strategy, company culture, etc. And I'm responsible for everything that happens inside the 12 months period. So the OKRs is a tool for me to really do the strategy. So I was a leader that was responsible for implementing the OKRs for all the teams, for the entire organization. But I became very dependent. It was my responsibility to set up weekly meetings, to monitor the progress, to really run the OKRs. And if I was missing, even if I delegated it to someone else, it didn't have like the drive that I was doing. So this is something to look out for, to train people inside the organization to really do the OKRs and to really keep the momentum going.
Well, it's important.
Yeah. Like having champions inside the organization that really understand OKRs and really are into it really helps, because you have so this is the top one thing. Another important thing is to really like teach your managers and your team how to set up realistic KPIs and key results, because those are not the same, and objective and key results works the best when they are not the same. It's good to have like KPIs in terms of revenue, employee growth, or whatever is important to you. But measurable key results, in my opinion, should be focused on measuring things that you want to change. Because I see my responsibility as a analytic that tries to choose the most important things that we can do in a 3 months period that will affect the most important KPIs. And this is how, in my opinion, OKRs are best used. You're making a bet. What is the most important thing? You're setting up objectives with key results that measure on how are you doing with this most important thing, and then you observe how this affected the KPIs. There is a 4DX framework that have defined this as a lead metric and lag metric, and this is the perfect description of what I just told you. So the lead metric are the metrics that you have some power over, and you can change right now, and the lag metric are the ones that will change later. So you can work on your I don't know, recruitment efforts. You can try to publish articles when you're doing marketing, and the lag metric would be how many employees do you have, or how many visitors on your website do you have. And if you try to use the objective and key results to affect those lag metrics, you will fail miserably. And if you use OKRs for the lead metric, this is a completely different story, because you don't have like the power over revenue or the cost in your organization, and it's not the power to change it in 1 month or 2 months, but you have the power over short-term results that can affect the revenue. And the real challenge is to find what is the most important thing that would affect those KPIs. And this is like 4 years of using OKRs in a nutshell. Do this. This is the most important stuff.
Yeah, and I would like to say that this is, for example, for me, it is still challenging, and that's really for teams finding this, like, first right metric, what to measure, to define how to measure, so to find so not, like subjective judgment. Okay, we are somewhere in between 10% and 20%, but really to understand what do you measure, where is leading this you, and how it's connected with a strategy and goals you want your company wants to achieve. This is, I would say, the most challenging thing. And let's say the biggest complaint, for example, I heard is like, it's taking so many times. It's so much time. So it's yeah, we don't want to do that due to it's taking us a time, and we have so much, more important things to do as a team. We need to implement, and then you start to ask them, but you need to implement, but what, and where this is leading you. Okay, that was top one, right? And top second, top two.
Well, actually, it was two. The first, having the champions in the organization, like choosing the right metrics. And the third one, I think it's basically what you mentioned, is the ability for the team to understand what is the most important thing to be done in their eyes. Because what you described is the discrepancy between day-to-day work and strategic work. And if your organization can't like give you the chance to really work on the strategy, then your time will be eaten 100% on the day-to-day tasks, and you won't have any chance to work on the strategy. So this is like really important thing as a leader, to really carve out some time for each team to really enable them to work on the strategy. The best case scenario is when the day-to-day work connects with the strategy. During the last 2 quarters, we were able to achieve this level, and this is a complete game changer. When the whole team really have the objective that really adds up to their day-to-day work, that they can improve their day-to-day operations with the strategy in mind. This is the best thing that you can that can happen. Because if there is a difference and the people if people are working on day-to-day work that is not connected to the strategy, they treat objective and key results as a hindrance. It's like an additional work, like it's just as you described. It's not helping them at all.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where our time and how fast our time flies, but we already we are talking 40 minutes, and before we go to questions of our audience, I want to ask you last question. If no one will have questions, then I will ask more. If I think we have a very different audience today, and if you would like to give some advice for someone who is just starting out using OKRs, what it will be? First, in the beginning, we talked that okay, start first with one team, one goal, nothing else. So start small, then scale. Something else for the beginning?
I would read a few books. So Radical Focus is one of them, of course. Measure What Matters by John Doerr would be the second one. Lately, I've been reading How to Measure Anything. It's also an interesting book. It's not connected to OKRs, but it's a great description of how to like estimate things that are quite unknown, which enables you to think in a very good terms on how to get to the right key results. Because so this is definitely a good book. And I would browse through Google Rework, because they have a lot of use cases, a lot of good stuff in terms of things not to do, what to do, how to do it. There's also a very good tool called 7geese.com, and they have a great blog about OKRs. There's also a GTM Hub software. It's all OKR software, but they also have a great blog. What else? There's also Purdue.com. It's also a OKR tool and they have also a great blog. What else?
While you think, I would add one.
Yeah.
That for me it was really valuable when I started, and after some time to participate in OKR forum in a conference with practitioners. I remember my first participation, and I was so excited by that. You can talk with people who are really practicing OKRs. So I would say that having a contact with someone who is practicing is really helpful. And for example, in my case, we had a guy, Australian guy. I don't know if he is hearing us. He actually started this the whole story, and he was experienced. So it's good to start with some experience.
Yeah, definitely. Like talking to people that overcame the challenges is really helpful. But it's basically a definition of a mentor, and it's worth having mentors in different like areas of your life. So this is one of them. And one more thing: don't try to automate. Like keep it as simple as possible. Like we started our objective and key results on a whiteboard actually. Despite being a like high-tech software company, we had our OKRs like manual on paper with pen and paper. And
okay.
And even today, we are like over a 90 people organization. We still use Google Sheets. We haven't jumped over the dedicated software. We are getting to it. It's quite close, but still at this scale, we are able to use the very simple Google Sheet. So you don't need to have a dedicated software to run OKRs. Like the less friction and the simpler solution, the better, because it's not about automation and the tooling. It's about you identifying the most important things and picking up the best possible key results to run the change.
Yeah, I agree. And okay, so I would say that I have so many questions still.
Let our audience speak first.
yeah, exactly. So guys, if you have questions, please post them in comments. And I see a few questions from Sandeep. I saw that Matt already answered a few of them. Maybe I will post one of this question, and maybe you want to add something to that. So the question is, have you used OKR and KPIs together, or just used OKR to track progress?
As I mentioned, first we tried to use OKRs in terms of KPIs, and it wasn't a huge success, as you can imagine. And later we used health metrics to monitor our KPIs, which also wasn't the best solution. And right now I'm trying to implement the concept of this lead and lag metrics. So like having KPIs as lag metrics and using key results as a lead metrics to influence the lag metrics. But apart from this, if the KPIs like revenue or employee growth or net revenue of the company or EBITDA or whatever metric, whatever KPIs you use, we use them alongside objective and key results, because those are like two different animals. Because like OKRs are best used to like implement the strategy. KPIs are more related to day-to-day business, in my opinion. So we have them separately.
In my case, actually, too. But first, I remember there were a lot of questions. What is the difference, and why should we have KPIs and key results? And okay, like, I see also.
Like in my mind, both are very important, but KPIs not always are connected with the company strategy. Because having some level of revenue or some level of net profit, they're not connected to the strategy that you're implementing, and they're very important KPIs.
Yeah, and key results shows us what effect we want to achieve. So how we recognize that we are that we achieved our goals, and KPIs show us more how we did that. So, for example, how fast,
exactly,
how far we are. So it's a different type of metrics, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I see also the second question from Sandeepat. I guess you already answered that. What have been your key challenges implementing OKRs? If you want to add something more than you've mentioned, then please. If not, then we go next.
No, I think I covered the most common challenges.
I can add, for example, from my side, as I started to in the company, let's say, where we also wanted to change a kind of mindset, and one of the biggest challenge for us was, let's say, exchange from output thinking to outcome thinking. So it's like changing really thinking. So you do not think by features, so you deliver this and this and you are happy, but you think about how to deliver a value. So it's one of the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's true. It's present in both setting goals and key results. So yeah, like people have the tendency to really put action-based items in key results and not the outcome-based. So people tend to create key results like have 10 meetings or send 20 emails, and they really don't tell you what is the outcome of the activity. It just described how well or how efficient you do the activity, and objective and key results are all about outcome. So the outcome of sending emails is having like 5 conversations with potential customers, or this is the best key result that you can have.
Do you have some?
Sorry.
No, I just wanted to ask, how do you fight with that? Do you have some golden, I don't know, hints, golden rules, how to help team to not stick with tasks, but more with, with what do they want to achieve?
Well, right now when we are creating OKRs, we have like 2-day workshop for the entire leaders team, because we don't have managers, we have leaders, and we create together both the company objective and the sub objectives for each team, and then we like critically assess the key results that we come up with. So basically, it's me asking, hey, why is this an activity? What is the outcome of this? Why do you think that it will work? Those are the 3 golden questions. So asking why and why this and not that.
Do they
very, very simple.
Do they hate you for this question?
They hated me for first 3 years. Right now, they like it.
Okay. When you start to see benefits, right? It starts to work.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, we are waiting for the next questions for our audience. Nothing so far. I will wait one moment, and of course, I have a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, I have one thing to add, because the change from running like OKRs closer to KPIs to really something to influence the organization. I had an aha moment when I was reading Atomic Habits. It's a quite nice book, actually. I highly recommend it, because there is a power of habit. That was the initial good book about habits, and Atomic Habits builds upon the concept in this book, adding the people layer, actually the emotional layer, the motivation layer on how to really stick to the habits. And one of the words that was quite enlightening to me was the system, in terms of the repeatable behaviors in the organization, because ultimately you're not changing numbers, you're changing the way people do things consistently. And if you're able to change the habits using the objective and key results, you're able to change how the company works and what outcomes come from the organization. So basically, you're implementing the concept of the score takes care of itself. It's also a very good book.
Oh yes, you're so right, and you touch culture, culture, organization topic, and so many things to talk.
I'm fortunate enough to work with people that are very open-minded and also very effective in implementing things. So I had a major bonus from the start, that I don't have to really push through the organization to implement the OKRs, to really fight my way. I had a very supporting board that wanted to implement it, and the employees that were interested in doing it. But this is the benefit of the organization, I mean. So
yeah, that's for sure. We have a question from Bartek. He is asking, is it possible to see an example of well-maintained OKR? If not directly from you, maybe there is another source.
As I said, Google Rework is a very good base of with examples of how to create a good objective and key results. GTM Hub also publishes its objective and key results, I think. Google used to publish the objective and key results. I don't think they do it anymore, but they did. So If you dive deep, you can see the examples. And in the book, Measure What Matters, there is also a lot of examples on how to do the objective and key results. And in the radical focus, you have the perspective of the product-based company. The product-based company. I think right now you're working in the product-based company, Bartek. So this may be interesting for you. It's a form. It's in a form of a very short story, so you can see how the team came to the solutions and how they implemented the OKRs from scratch. So this may be interesting.
Yeah, actually nothing to add from also my side. Okay, thanks. Thank Bartek for your question and Mateusz for answering. Okay, we have a comment that a lot of great books suggested. Thank you for this comment. Okay, are there questions? We still have 5 minutes. Use the time or I will ask. Okay, let's wait a moment. Mateusz, while we are waiting, you mentioned OKR champions, and you also said that you have 90 people in your company. Do you have OKR champions, and how many of them do you have?
Well, they are not like official OKR champions, but I was able to convince all the leaders in the organization to really dig into the OKRs and use it. So I believe that every leader that is responsible for some objective right now is the champion. So I have like nine of these people right now.
Oh, okay. So it's around 1% for 10. Are there? So 1 per 10. Okay.
Yeah, that's more or less the ratio that we want to keep in terms of the leaders and this, like, not subordinates but the team. It's not a direct manager like kind of relationship.
I often get a question about how to map or combine Scrum framework with OKR framework. You use Scrum, right? As far as I know.
Yeah, but I don't think it's such a great idea to like combine Scrum with OKRs actually, because Scrum is best used when working on something with very uncertain results. This was the beginning of Scrum at all. They had a very challenging task to do that failed multiple times, and it was on some project in FBI, I think, and they needed a tool to really get it started. And while working on a strategy, it's not that unknown what is to be done. So I would say that using some tools from Scrum and using basically agile principles helps. Basic weekly meetings, you can really, well, it's not a directly part of Scrum. During the Scrum, you have like weekly or bi-weekly demos, so you can treat the weekly OKR meeting as a demo of what you have completed in 1 week and what you want to do in the next week. So this is like comparable. You can use retrospective, which is highly recommended after each quarter. This is a very helpful tool. You can use daily meetings, and right now we have daily meetings in our organization, all like a 15-minute daily stand of all the leaders. But we don't need a Scrum Master to run OKRs. We don't need PR proxy. So talking about like a direct Scrum implementation using OKRs, for me, it's a misunderstanding of what Scrum is and how to use it. Agile principles, yes. Part of the tools from Agile, yes. But Scrum itself, no.
Okay. Thank you for that. And okay, we have 2 minutes before we will have an end of our talk. I would like to ask you, dear audience, to leave your feedback in comments or just to hear from you, everyone. What do you think about that? Please leave a comment in the comment section. And Mateusz, if you don't mind, I will show how to find you, maybe if someone will have some questions or?
Yeah, sure. Just connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll gladly help you either with OKR implementation or answer questions.
And yes, so this is Mateusz, and if you would like and you're interested in my try of doing infographics about different techniques, also OKRs, I want to invite you to my MVP blog. I do not have any website page yet, so it's only Facebook page, and you also can contact me on LinkedIn. And that's, I would say that's all. And let me check if we have some other questions. If not, then we are at the end. It's 8:15, and I would like to thank you everyone who spent this evening with us. And
thank you very much for keeping with us.
Yeah,
it's great to have you here.
Exactly, and for comments and for your questions. And Mateusz, first, it's really such great thanks to you to try together with me this tool and also this this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so we're also thinking with Elena to continue this as a series. So if you feel that there is a certain area of OKRs that you want to hear in details, then please leave a comment or connect with Elena on LinkedIn or Facebook, and we'll see if maybe we continue the series.
Yeah, that's true. Then we will know what topics you are interested in. Thank you all, and hope to see you. Okay.